This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast. Today's discussion is make some mistakes. Be willing to make some errors. One of the things that we see, whether it's in business or sports, in any endeavor, in that there's a certain category of people that are so careful in what they do. They're so sort of wired towards perfection and so cautious about making mistakes that they can never get the very best out of themselves. And for these people that by nature are so cautious, our encouragement today is, and it's not to make huge mistakes, but you have to be willing to make some mistakes, some errors, to put yourself out, to do different things, to figure out how good you can be. We see this in business, and we see it over and over again in sports. For example, in coaching, people in business, we would encourage them to try different areas of work, to try different kinds of projects. If you ultimately don't like the strategy project, don't like the other kind of project, you probably are not going to kill your career. But by trying a different type of project, you try a project in a different field, you be a little bit overly communicative with a boss or a client, not inappropriately, but overly communicative and outside of your comfort zone. And you sort of learn. The worst thing that happens is somebody says, oh my God, that person was talking to us too much. That person was asking too many questions. But you have to sort of put yourself out of your comfort zone to try and get better, to figure out where your boundaries are and what you can do. Similarly, I have the great pleasure of coaching high school tennis, and I constantly encourage it's okay to double fault once a game to try and figure out how far can you go with your serve? How much pressure can you put on the same other person? It's okay to hit some balls out to figure out how much pressure you could put on your opponent by keeping balls deep. But you have to be willing to make some of those mistakes. You have to be willing to make some of those errors to figure out how good you can be. In any event, I think it's true in almost everything we do. You have to permit yourself to make some errors to get better. And that's the topic of today's podcast. Thank you very much for listening.